everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Public Opinion Show with your host, Pam. Normally, I have my co-host, Vanetta, with me, but she is off on a much-deserved vacation, and I actually am jealous because she's been going on a lot of vacations, but she deserves it, and I certainly hope that she is having a wonderful time. And I'm looking forward to, though, the public opinion question of the week this week, because we're having another social Sunday where we have a discussion just with not people who are like experts in any particular field that has to do with the subject, but just because they have an opinion on it. And I hope that you all may consider talking about it yourselves. I also hope that you all did vote, even if whoever you wanted to vote for didn't win, you exercised your civic duty. So I'm very happy and proud of you if you did that as well. So I'm looking forward to talking and meeting our participants for this week and seeing what they have to say about the public opinion question of the week. So let's get started and meet our participants. First, we have Harrison Gaines, also known as Tony. He is a husband, a father, and community leader. He is the connection director at Victory Family Church, where he encourages people to become a community, which he believes leads to purpose and life fulfillment. He is a certified diversity, equity, and inclusion coach who trains people to discover their similarities and not focus on their differences. He has a wife named Kisha, who is also going to be on the show this week. Together, they are raising 3 young men. Next, we have his wife, Kisha. Kisha Gaines has been an executive leader for over 25 years in a multi-billion-dollar organization and specializes in transformational leadership. She is the founder and CEO of the Wisdom Well, a collaborative of female leaders who equip working women with strategies, resources, and mentorship to build purposeful careers, fulfilling relationships, and stronger communities. She leads an L3 mastermind for executive women because she believes in the power of community. And finally, we have Joan Baucum-Robinson. Joan is a leader challenger and activator efficiency artist with purpose planning and consulting. What started in a small church basement based upon her willingness and passion to share what she knew about people needed has turned into on-purpose brands consisting of business, retail, and ministry. On Purpose seeks to add value to its client base by feeding the soul, pouring into the mind, and dressing them in style. All right. That sounds fabulous. I cannot wait to meet all 3 of our guests. So let's get started. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all so very much for agreeing to be participants on the show this week. I cannot wait to hear what you all have to say about the public opinion question of the week during this social Sunday, is what I'm calling it, when we just have these nice conversations and not so much about anything that you're particularly like experts about, but just what is your opinion about this particular subject. So of course it wouldn't be public opinion unless I had a public opinion question. So I am going to show you all the question and then we'll get started. If the wife's income is more than her husband's, should she be considered the head of the household? All right. So I am going to let Kisha start, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes to answer that question. Go ahead, Kisha.
Can you hear me? Okay. All right. So I guess this is a loaded question because it depends on if you go off by the government standards, like your tax income. Yep, they decide that the head of the household is the person with the most income, but I don't actually believe that. I believe it's a God-given thing to the husband because he's the protector and the provider of the home. And when we think of provision, it's not just money, right? So you get to talk to my husband later, but he provides so much more than just income to our home. He is a provider of confidence. He is a provider of wisdom. He's a provider of protection to us and our 3 boys. So I always believe that the husband is born to be the head of the household, especially as the man who decided to come together with his wife and create a family, that it was important for him to become a part and stay a part of that family. That's a thing that no one else can do. So in short, I think it's him.
Okay, great. All right. And now, Joni, I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer that question as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I would say I like Kish. I live under different standards than the world when it comes to our husbands being in the forefront and being the head of the home, having the authority in the home. So regardless of income, I think that the husband is the one that is the head of the household. Now, I would ask the question, just because I like to challenge and dig into things, is I would say define head of household. What does that really mean? Because that means so many different things to people, not only to the government, yes, but also to other people. It could mean shared responsibility. Could mean what the husband and wife have decided is how we run our household. So, I think there's multi layers to that.
Ooh, I like that too. I can't wait till we have our group discussion. And now finally, go ahead, Harrison.
Can I just say ditto to Kisha? Can I just do no? I think, Pam, if it was only defined by money, Kisha would have been the head of our household in our case for a long time. She got out of school before me and started making money before I did. So, but I think that when people say it, at least I work at a church, so people always want to use the verse where it says, wives, submit and yourselves to your husbands, but they forget that the verse before that says, submit to one another out of reverence to Christ. So I do believe that it is a submission unto one another that is important, but there's always got to be a captain. Like we like sports in our home, so we always got to have a captain. So and the captain gets to sometimes call the play, but the play could have been drawn up by my wife. It's just that we've decided in those moments that, hey, that's the right play and that's what we're gonna roll with. So I mean, that's how we work together inside of this household, at least. So now we do have people in our lives that at times have challenged us with that have challenged us and even told us that that it was not proper for that. So we've had to work through those situations and instances, and Kisha had to tell a person back, like, hey, listen, this is how we decided to live our life, and this is the way it's going to work. So, yeah.
What do you mean by that? that you had to explain, or what the last thing you just said, Harrison?
We've had people tell us, or in this particular case, we've had family members tell us that it was improper for Kisha to be the breadwinner per se. Oh, okay. And they were not happy that I was at one point, Pam, I didn't have a job. I was a stay-at-home dad, so they were not they were not happy with that also. However, I found it to be quite rewarding in raising my boys. Yeah. Like there hasn't been a better time that I've had, in raising our children and getting to be around them for those years. So,
that's a good thing that you said that, because women just now are in so many different careers, and obviously that lends itself to making a lot of money or whatever. And that's a very interesting thing that you said, though, about the fact that you stayed home and for a period of time and took care of the kids, which is different, because a lot of men may feel intimidated by the whole a woman making more money than them, and they feel like, okay, I need to be the breadwinner or whatever. So I think it takes a special man who is comfortable in his own manhood to be able to do that. And I don't think that really your manhood is measured by the amount of money you make, but some people feel differently about that. So what would you say to women, and this is a question for all three of you, what would you say to women who are looking for a man to get married, and they find themselves not finding men who are like maybe at their economic level. So what else would you say or offer to them is something that they should be looking for? And not any of you all.
I think statistically, especially as Black women, that's going to happen just by pure statistics. And so if you're looking for just somebody to be your partner monetarily, then you're missing the whole point of marriage. The partnership, because money is going to come and go. You're going to have richer for poorer. So if you're looking for someone that's just going to help fill your pocket and pay your bills, just stop looking, because you're not going to be fulfilled. There's a lot of men out there that make a lot of money, provide very well materially for their family, but are horrible husbands, terrible absent fathers. So really you want to look for integrity and character and someone who's going to care for your heart more than they're going to care for your wallet.
Yeah. And I can't remember, Michelle Obama was talking to somebody, I cannot remember now, it was some type of an interview or whatever she was having. And that person was talking about how they were tired of babysitting. They don't want to be a babysitter or whatever they were calling it as far as, and Michelle Obama said the same thing. She said, well, you know, people can bring different things of value to a relationship without it meaning that they're making more money. You know, is that person going to be there for you emotionally and spiritually and those type of things? That's as far as I'm concerned, the things that you really should be looking for, because, you know, especially nowadays, you know, anybody can make some money, but at the end of the day, when you come home, what's the relationship going to be like? You know, so that, I think that's really what you have to look at. But I think it's important to consider like the definition, like Joni, like what you said, what is really the definition of head of household? You know, what does that mean to be the head? Like, I think we should look at it like, what's the spiritual head as opposed to maybe a different type of way we look at a head of a household.
So I would even, so just to step out there, I am a clergy member, so that's a misnomer, right? So when we hear head of household, that's a worldly term. So therefore, somebody like myself, like Kish and Harrison, will automatically not come up under that. So that doesn't apply to us, period, because that's a governmental income term to begin with, right? So it's always important, and I experienced the same thing Harrison said when it came to family members trying to say how my marriage should be set up, what I should be doing, what my husband should be doing, what our marriage should look like, who should be in charge of this, who should be in charge of that. Now, I come from a very strong family of women, a strong family of independent women, a strong family of non-trusting, strong, independent women. So, so what one might say, that's improper for Kish to try to be the head of her home and make more money and do X, Y, and Z. I'm on the other side of that, as in, that's exactly what you should be doing, because that's what you were born to do. That's what we raised you to do. That's the avenue you need to run with. So for me, even over my marriage, and my husband didn't attend college, and that's fine. I knew that, right, going into my marriage. I knew who he was. I know who I married. Other people weren't okay with that. Yeah. And so, you know, I've learned over my marriage that I've had to unlearn some things. Let me put it that way. I've had to unlearn that I'm not head of the household. We would have been having this conversation, say 6-7 years ago. I would have said, absolutely, I am. Why are we talking about it? Why, you know, because that's what I would have, you know, that was my mindset. But I've been renewed in my mind, and I understand that that's not the case. And even recently, in the last couple of months, I've learned, and you touched on it, that I can't discount others for whom I may feel is intellectually less apt than I. That there are things that people offer us emotionally, mentally, that
Right.
money can't give you, that drive can't get you, that strength can't get you, that
Yeah.
being super smart can't get you. And so I've had to learn how to see that in other people and value that. And I think talking about this head of household is, it really comes down, coming down to that is do we value our spouses? And are we valuing them by a number, or do we value them by a different set of rules?
Yeah. And then it also depends on what you all agree upon as a couple. Like I've always considered my husband, to be the head of the household. And marriage is supposed to mirror the church, like, Jesus, the head of the church, and whatever. So however, what we discovered in the course of our marriage is that I'm a much better money manager. I'm pretty much like the manager of our house. I would always set up all the appointments for the kids. I, handled the money because, we just determined that I was just a better money manager. And so he was like, I know I don't have to worry. You're going to pay the bills. You're going to pay this. You're going to pay that. You're going to be the one who makes all of the airline, reservations, the hotel, I do all of that. And didn't really mind it because I knew I was better at that. He was better at other things. Like I know if something broke in the house, I'm not going to do anything that has to do with repairs, or with the car. So there's certain things that you just can figure out as a couple. However, as the wife, though, I still had to respect him as the man. Even though I know I'm really doing it. Not just, but I was the manager. So that's the way.
Pam, you're making me feel bad because Harrison does everything you just said. So,
but see, that's
yes, he does all the great stuff. But even the stuff you said your husband does, he does that too. So maybe I need to.
So he does everything.
He's amazing.
Here's the thing. I think people get nervous around that because I think, and I could be wrong, but I'm gonna put it out there and just say, like, I think when women hear that they're allowing a man to be the head, is because they hear a dominating thing inside of their head, and it's not designed to be that. Like, we're not designed inside the relationship to dominate one another, to be, below one another. So I think that's the problem when people hear that term, like that head of household. That especially in our community, people have been raised now to be like, nobody should be dominating you or nothing like that, and it's not what is happening where you're together in a partnership, but it is together.
Yeah, you're right. I think women now have been taught so much about independence and be your own woman and be strong, and all of these things that we get to a point where we feel like, well, almost don't need a man, or I can do this on my own. And then I think that's kind of the mindset that some women have when they go into a relationship with somebody that is not at their economic level. I think they feel more like, well, I got my money, and if things don't go well, I don't need you anyway. It's and I know it shouldn't be that way, but I do think that somewhere in the mindset, and that's why I said, what can we tell women now who are looking for a man, as far as letting them know that yes, you can survive independently, but these are some of the things that you look for in a relationship, which is so much more important, than money. And I just think that's what's lacking now, is that I don't think we're mentoring, especially younger women now, enough to still want to be in the type of a relationship that fosters, the man still being, actually the head of the household. And
I think we have to also think about how, sorry for interrupting.
Oh, no.
We have to think about how people have giftings, right? And the world, they value giftings differently. So my husband is a natural party starter. Like, you're going to have fun around him. And that's what his career is. His career is making sure people come into our organization and they enjoy it, and that they feel included, and that they want to be members, and they want to come into the kingdom. That's his job. But he works at a church. Unfortunately, the world doesn't value that as much as the skill set that I have, that is to negotiate and to manage lots of people and lots of inventory. The world, they say that's more valuable, but I don't actually think it is. And so they just happen to pay me more money for the skills that I have, not because I'm any smarter or I work any harder. They just say it's more valuable. But it's
I like that. Ooh, I like that a lot. Now tell us a little bit about the wisdom well, and all three of you are involved in this wisdom well, right? So either one of you all can go ahead and tell me more about that, because I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. So Harrison and I co-founded the Wisdom Well. It's an organization. It's a collaborative of women for women. It's an organization. Our goal really is to help that professional woman in the workplace who's done the climb. She's worked really hard to get to the place she is in life. She's hit her life goals. She's got the kids, the car, the handbag, the house, all the things. And it's like, wait, where's me? And so we're working to give her strategies so that she can re-engage with her own life, and so that she can be a better wife, a better mom, a better community member, and pursue the woman she was always meant to be, that somehow got lost in all the busy.
Oh, that sounds like a very interesting, that when you had said that before we went on, I said, well, I want to know a little bit more about that, because that is true. That kind of happened to me. I remember feeling like burned out. I was feeling like all I was doing was taking the kids to their extracurricular activities. I was doing everything for the kids, and then I didn't have anything to do for myself. So then that's when I started taking some acting classes, and I did some community theater, and I started doing more things for me. And I think that's important for women to do. So that's it sounds like a really good program.
Well, I'm sure it sparked some creativity in you, things that maybe your work didn't need from you. They probably don't need you to act at work. But it probably led you to this, right?
Yeah.
And you got back out there and you started to redream again.
Right.
So we want women to redream again. We're not saying leave your day job, but we are saying do what your heart desires.
Yeah. Do what your heart desires, and don't feel that you have to do everything. They'll see a woman that they know and they think that they're very professional. And if they start dating somebody else that, doesn't appear to be the same standards that society may see them, they almost are like, well, why you want to date? It's kind of sad, because I think it takes away such a big pool of people who could still contribute so much more. But sometimes society just looks at it like, well, you're dating below, it almost feels like, almost like a hierarchy type of a thing. And I think women lose out on so much because they feel like they need to have somebody that's at their same economic level, and I just think that you lose out when you don't give people a chance,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I forget when, but Kish did a talk on, our value system before. And I remember that we have to know what our values are. We have to know what are we drawing from, right? The wisdom well, right? What are we drawing from when we're deciding
that's smart.
what's important, when we're deciding who's important, when we're deciding why I'm doing what I'm doing, when I'm deciding, right? And you keep hearing me say decide, because it's about choices. And it's our choice to utilize wisdom well in order for us to move forward in life in the direction that we need to go. And that's where people have to come back to. That's where women have to come back to. High impact women have to come back to. Even high impact men have to come back to, come back to that well and understand what are you drawing from. And when you can find out what you're drawing from, when you pull it up, you're either going to see it's going to be good choices or it's going to be bad choices. And then you can then sit and pause and say, okay, what direction do I need to go, go in at
Yeah.
that point.
And I think it's important still to remember that a marriage is a partnership,
Exactly.
And Harrison, you were talking about in the Bible about the submission, and you want to explain that again for everybody else about what does it really mean to be submissive, and isn't it like mutual submission, as well? And like, what does it mean for a man to be submissive to his wife and a woman to be submissive to her husband?
Well, I would say a couple things here. First, don't let, on previous and what you're saying, don't let society tell you or determine who God has. So you're gonna miss out on the person that God could have for you because of money. That seems to be that's silly. Like, you need to get beyond that. Because if that's the person God is designed for, and you letting them roll off because men or women, they make a little bit more money than you, then that's not what you're supposed to be doing there. And then as far as submission, man, like, you're supposed to submit into one another. So that's the support of one another. So it's not just in this case, Kisha founded or had the vision for the Wisdom Well, and I wanted to come alongside her. So not only could I support her emotionally inside of that, but also as our monies are combined, we can financially be supportive to one another. I can always, like I said, support her emotionally. There's also more things. For right now, inside of the Wisdom Well, we're planning a conference on January 20th, right outside of Pittsburgh. If we're planning a conference for that, so I'm planning that and doing that part. She doesn't have to do that, So there are just ways to support one another inside of there. If we hey, our schedule is crazy with our kids as far as like who's picking up somebody here and getting them here, doing that. So we take that together as a partnership and support one another inside of that, and we knock all of those things out daily together, so that and then we do it all over again the next day. So I mean, and we tried it the other way in the beginning of our marriage, and Kish is a wonderful leader. Like, she is leading this organization right now. But it wasn't working, and that was nothing against her. She was, and I was letting her, to be honest, at the point in my life, I was not in a very good position or point in my life, and so she had to do it. So but it wasn't right, and we felt the what's the word you would say, Kish? We felt the I don't know the right word to put there, the remnants or or what it was that wasn't right inside of that. So we sit down and redo it for how it would work for us.
Yeah. Well, see, I thank you all so much, but that's what I'm talking about. It's really, I think, a partnership, a collaboration. You figuring out who does what, and you work together. And I think when you stop thinking about maybe so much so who has more money, that that really shouldn't play a part of it. What should play a part is, are you compatible with this person? What does this person bring to you? What can they add to you and make you a better person together? And the money, it doesn't matter. As far like my husband used to always say, it doesn't matter to me if you made more money or not. That's money for the household. That's just more money. So it doesn't matter. But I think this was a great discussion. I think it comes to mutual respect. Thank you so much, Joni. Thank you so much, Harrison and Kisha. And I certainly hope that you continue to be successful with the Wisdom Well. All right. Thank you all so much. Take care. Ooh, I enjoyed that conversation. I really, really did. Because I think there's so many women, though, who still kind of think, I make my money. I'm making more money than him. I'm the one that's going to be in charge or whatever. And I don't necessarily believe that should be the case. I certainly believe that people should have the type of relationship that works best for them. But I really believe it comes down to respect. It comes down to, what can this person add to your life? What value is in that? And if you all can get along, I think that really needs to be what people look for when they get into a marriage or into a relationship. So for all the women out there, even if you're making all of the money or whatever, don't look down on a man, or don't feel like you can't be with somebody who's not making as much money as you. And also understand that there's a level of respect that should be brought to any relationship. So I'm interested in knowing what you think about this topic. So make sure that you leave a comment. And if you love watching this show, continue to follow us on Facebook as well as on YouTube. And I'll see you for another episode of Public Opinion. Bye-bye.